on to the LEC post-game lobby. I'm Sjokz, joined by Guldborg and by Caedrel. And we will look back on the second day of Super Week. First up though, Guldborg, your first complete day on the LEC.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
It's really been an experience. So many talented people that you learn so much from every time in the breaks. So it's just been overwhelming. So yeah, not so much from Caedrel today. But
Why you gotta do me like that?
I mean, you've been casting.
But are you surprised that 2 new people are here 6 months ago who are not actually on the broadcast?
That is actually pretty crazy. And also it's crazy how good you have been doing, I have to say, both for you, Caedrel, and for you, Guldborg. Really, just, EU mids they say, but it's EU on-air talent.
I used to be mid.
You used to be mid, that's true. So
I remember that Melsaha play, really good.
Yeah.
You cancelled it.
All right, so let's talk about the last game of the day. We had Fnatic up versus Mad. We already talked to Mac, but yeah, for Fnatic, even though we thought the draft that we covered here on the desk was solid and they got even a solo kill for Adam in that top lane, why did it go so incredibly wrong so fast, Guldborg?
Yeah, I just feel like from they just started to lose the grasp on it. We talked about how the composition worked as well. Like, it's very much let's scale to the late game and let's kite back. They didn't really have the pressure in the lane that was needed. So you see Mad all the time around. They're just enabling themselves to go for these crazy dives so early in the game.
Yeah, I think that Mad Lions mid-jungle playing towards the top side early. You saw Humanoid and Elyoya move up there and actually dive at him a couple of times. Despite him having the push and winning the lane, he actually had to give it up. And the reason for that was because Fnatic was playing towards the bot side. Niski didn't have much agency in the game with Orianna, and Whippo was opting to play towards the bot side, looking for dives, which actually ended up in 1-for-1. So they were winning out on bot side and they were winning out on top side.
And it was a bit of a difficult one because you could say, well, Fnatic maybe have some scaling on your side with the Kog'Maw, with the Orianna, yes, but there was also a lot on the other side. And the Mad Lions, it seemed like once they got control, they didn't stop anymore, and that was hard for Fnatic to deal with.
Yeah, I just feel like in general in this meta, late game teamfight scaling can be such a bait. You really need something to be proactive in the early and mid to late game, just because there's so much less about these skirmishes around the objective. It's so much about the 1-3-1s with the compositions, with the AP junglers, the AD mid laners right now. That is just a meta that you need to go for.
Yeah, and I think that Fnatic actually lacked a lot of engage. You saw Whippo playing the Udyr. Didn't actually have phase rush. He had Conqueror, he had Resolve second tree, and he had Ghost. So it was really hard for him to just point and click start fights. Whereas on Mad Lions, he had like Volibear, Kai'Sa, Leona, Akali. So they could really just pull the trigger whenever they wanted. Whereas Fnatic just had to wait for them to come into them.
For Mad Lions, they were able to bounce back. Yesterday, they lost the opening game versus G2. This was a much better showing for Fnatic, though. Already down now 2 games, and they're playing Rogue tomorrow. Before we talk about that game, though, I'd like to look at the ending one more time because it got a bit crazy at the end. And Fnatic, we have to give them credit where credit is due. They were able to stave off the Mad Lions a couple of times.
Yeah, they were scaling, and the Kog'Maw Lulu were pretty powerful. Now they had to fight this top inhibitor, and the second upset flashes away, he has to kite backwards, which means Mad Lions can start to 1 forwards. And I thought from here, when Hidesang died, the fight was over. I think Mad Lions overchased a little bit into Adam and upset because it's a 3 versus 5 at this point. The only thing Mad Lions are lacking are ultimates.
Yeah, completely. And you can see they're still trying to go for it here. And I think they're quite successful in what they're doing here. I think it also comes down to later in the stages, we'll see Humanoid popping up once again on the Akali. But once again, Adams, Olaf, really something you cannot underestimate. And then Upset in the background is just free hitting so many people.
Yeah, Adam just really tanky. Look at Upset with the W up, just kind of free hitting and clearing out the creeps with the Hurricane. So he's doing so much AoE damage. And now it came down to this 2v2, which was very hairy because, I mean, Carzzy goes forwards onto Upset, but he has the GA. So chunking him out for a Guardian Angel is actually worth it. But the person who actually makes all the plays happen here is Humanoid, because Carzzy actually ends up dying here, but keep your eyes on Humanoid. What he does is he's hitting the Nexus, he's trying to focus it down. Carzzy dies, but he manages to pick up Upset, lives through the damage of Adam, kites him away just in time, and manages to kill him. Look at the burst damage coming out from that R2.
Yeah, you can see he's also just full stacking the Riftmaker. You can just see that purple glow on him right there. Yeah. So essentially true damage together with all the extra you get from Conqueror as well. So that Akali, just a monster in that last team fight.
I missed it. Do we know who player of the game was?
I would say Humanoid in my opinion.
I wonder if we got the votes in, because I don't know if we were supposed to say it in PGL, but I'd love to know if producers are listening. Let's take a look at the standings, though, where we have Misfits and Astralis joining Rogue at 2-0. Astralis is still at the top of the table. That is the best start they have ever had to a split.
Yeah, and their team name starts with A, so actually the top of the standings. So stop the count and cut it there. They won the split, right? So no, but great start. I mean, they did manage to beat XL today, and they're doing so well. I mean, they beat SK yesterday. Although I must say that those teams aren't exactly like the strongest teams in the league right now. I need to see them up against the likes of Rogue, G2 and that kind of stuff before I can actually come to a conclusion. But for now, a 2-0 start is perfect.
Yeah, I completely agree. But a lot of this, if you are talking playoffs already in the early game, like these are teams you need to beat because we don't want to trash anyone. We can kind of say that this was what a lot of people expected to be the bottom of our league right here. So the fact you get to already in the first Super Week get to take some of these games is going to be really valuable going on to along the split, really.
And I think the biggest surprise from Astralis was they kept the roster from last split that finished in 9th place. I mean, they picked up 2 wins towards the end. The third win they picked up was against Mad Lions, who did a 5 off-roll game, so we'll only say 2. And yeah, founding success straight away.
Yeah, I mean, they had a 3-0 week in week 8, right? So the last time we saw them, they also had a 3-0 week. So are they going towards a 3-0 week now as well? We don't know. So that's our top 3. Astralis, Misfits, and Rogue. By the way, Humanoid was the player of the game with a lot of votes. So that was to be expected. Talk to me about Rogue. I feel like they flew a bit under the radar yesterday because they had such a convincing win. And I'm even trying to recall what the game looked like today. Versus Vitality, because it got hairy in the early game, but they still were able to pull it out.
So the game today was interesting because Rogue actually had a 6,500 gold lead at 19 minutes into the game. So from that point, you would think the game's won, despite these ganks actually working for Vitality in the game. I think Larson died twice in the first sort of 10 minutes of the ganks. The problem they had was they were just way too far behind. It was this first mistake which was a snowball effect. Odoamne dying out to SLT in the 1v1 on the side lane. Now he didn't actually have TP or the paranoia, and then seconds after this, Vitality engaged in mid and they managed to pick up even more kills. Then another mistake in bots from Rogue actually made them fall behind, and that's the one on your screen here.
Yeah, not only that, it's 2 minutes later. The goal difference is even.
It's crazy.
We're talking 6k from 19 to 21. Goal difference is completely even. They start up getting the Baron, and they start running away with the game. But it's the scaling, the patience we see from the side of Rogue, the flow of Rogue, really, where they're just waiting for their power spikes and then playing for Larson in this last team fight.
Yeah, they just slowed the game down. They went to wave clear, they stopped making plays, and I think Larson was sitting on a pickaxe for about 5 to 6 minutes. Rogue wasn't making any plays, giving up vision. He got the IE, then they start forcing the fights, and Larson was the one dishing out the damage. Hans obviously winning out in the early game helped a lot. He was more of a poke-orientated player there, but Larson was the DPS they needed.
Yes, it was. Let's talk a little bit about priority and picks and whatnot, and I want to talk about the jungle a little bit, just because we've seen the revert back to, or not the revert back to, but it's still like the Udyrs that are coming up to prevalence. We even saw Lilia today. We even saw Gragas in that game. What's going on with the champion pool, and why aren't we seeing some of the newer champions flex maybe into the jungle?
Well, what you're seeing here is you're seeing a lot of AD solo laners, especially with Viego now enabled. You've got Viego, Renekton, Lee Sin, all these powerful solo laners, Lucian even coming out, and you want to pair that with AP junglers. That's where Rumble's at the top. Rumble's banned away a lot. That's the current jungle standings right now. You have teams like G2 and Mad Lions who want to pick Xin Zhao and Volibear and get early games rolling. Then you have teams like SK who want to play the Lilia. So they're still farming junglers. They're still early game junglers, but because of the change of 15 seconds later on the camp respawn, early junglers have crept their way in. So just a small point, the respawn timers for jungle camps were 2 minutes 30 seconds in an early game jungle meta. In the farming meta, it was 2 minutes. Now we're bang smack in the middle. That's why we're seeing both.
And I think it's just a point in time before we get to see even more. I think like meta is still very not completely laid out, both in the jungle, but also in terms of other places of the map. I think bot lane sometimes can be a bit uncertain for some teams. Some teams have an extreme prior onto Lulu Cockmore. Some teams are more onto the Ezreal Divine Sundero. And some teams are still feeling the Kai'Sa as a priority for their AD carries. So there's still a lot of different options you can go for. I will say though, they have that fit. Ezreal is really good if you play for the solo laner. So as soon as you're playing for those solo lanes, just swap that weak side AD carry down there. And when you're more onto the bot lane carry style, you go for the Cockmore, you go for the Kai'Sa. Champions you can actually pay for and hope to scale for as well.
And Gwen's trash in EU. Is that...
Gwen seems to be trashing you, but it's also really OP in my eyes. That champion just life steals through everything. But one other champion I thought I'd just touch on that we haven't seen yet is Thresh. I think blue side, it's the law to ban Thresh right now. Every single game in the LEC, blue side's banning Thresh. I wonder if we can see this champion. It seems to be OP.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
We saw it also at MSI from some teams, right?
I think we have seen one game of it as well.
Do we see one game of Thresh?
Yeah.
The only times the Thresh is picked is just with Jinx and Aphelios, right? It enables more AD carries in the bot lane, just like Guldborg mentioned. It makes it so Ezreal and Kai'Sa and all these champs like Varus now becoming to question when Thresh is open. So I would love to see more Thresh, but it's always banned on blue side.
Yes, we'll see if we see Thresh tomorrow. And tomorrow it is the final day of our Super Week, so let's preview the action. 5 more games. XL versus Sjokz, Misfits versus Vitality, Astralis versus Mad Lions, SKG2, and Rogue versus Fnatic. So, Fnatic 0-2. Rogue already tweeted out, oh, when was the last time Fnatic started the season 0-3? Should be unfortunate, of course, but the expectation is after what we've seen from Fnatic and kind of how they... I want to say they were lackluster in the first game versus Misfits from the mid-game on, and in this game, it was hard for them to fight against Mad Lions as a whole. They will probably run into a couple of issues versus Rogue.
I think it still lies with identity and Fnatic, really. I think yesterday it was a bit weird who they wanted to play for, the weak side, top side, Viego. This time around, you had 2 champions that really wanted to run in, but then you had the other champions that wanted to kite back. So I think for Fnatic, it's just about gelling together, finding out what game plan they actually will have, because they do still have 5 talented individuals. I think it's just a matter of time before they get it. But but going up against Rogue tomorrow is definitely going to be a tough situation for them.
Yeah, I think time and consistency, the two words I think of Fnatic. Time so Whippo can grow, learn more about the jungle role. Time for Adam to actually get more comfortable on the stage, perhaps. Picking Olaf seemed good today. I think that's definitely a direction they should go in. And then consistency. They need to find these consistent plays, because you have one game yesterday up against Misfits where Whippo and Hylissang seem to be on the same page. They're just kind of winning out on the jungle support. And then you have this game today where they just seem off. Whippo's going in when Hylissang's already dead, and they just end up giving 2 kills all the time. So consistency is what they need.
G2 lost to Schalke, as is tradition, and tomorrow they're up versus SK Gaming. And Misfits versus Vitality, Caedrel. I'm actually quite excited to see that. Razor Cup versus Selfmade. But in general, 2 teams that I think have been some of the strongest showings, even though Vitality, of course, ended up losing today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely a good matchup to look at, especially even mid lane, like VTO versus Leader. I mean, every single mid jungle just feels stacked now. That Vitality have a really good mid jungle, it seems, and Misfits have been popping off as well. You got G2, Fnatic, Mad Lions, Rogue. All the mid jungles seem to be the places for all these teams right now.
Well,
I mean, yeah, I completely agree.
okay, well, go ahead. Do you have anything?
No, not more than that. That's fine.
Okay, and
Mid jungle's OP. You heard it here first.
tomorrow you get to cast, so I wish you the best of luck. I hope you can sleep well tonight, because you have to cast with Trevor, and that's going to take it out of you tomorrow. That's
lovely.
You're going to hear his dad jokes.
Yeah, I can't wait for it.
Or his granddad jokes, I should say.
It's going to be great. That was all from us here tonight, but the action's, of course, far from over. Across the Atlantic, the LCS continues in 1 hour. 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians. I want to go watch the football, so I'm going to sign off and tell you good night, and we'll see you tomorrow for the rest of Super Week. Welcome back to the LEC studio and week 1 of summer.
Here's White Knight, all of Astralis. They're like, excuse me, can't believe you left. Flash kick back, Nuke Duck gets over the wall, but Magic Felix will chase him down. It's a double TP, both White Knight and Magic Felix are on the way. The Paranoid coming out, and there's the Equalizer as well, but already Astralis are looking to burst them down. Cries diving into the backline, Magic Felix gets 1, gets 2, Dan's dead. White Knight takes the 3rd as Nuke Duck falls, and Cries is going to get chased off towards the top of this fight. Last time, we were all the way in week 3 before they had 2 wins. Vedius, now they have it on day 2. There's the True Shot Barrage, hits onto 2. Basil flashes in and chases down. No ability for that Lily to impact the fight. BTO kills off Jez's and Misfits strike. He's got 3 items. Juaz going to try and trade into it. Dodges away from the Chaos Storm, steps back into the gravity field, stunned up. And BTO gets himself 900 gold worth of shutdown.
SLT now moving forward. Needlework now coming in. He is incredibly strong. Needlework last pass.
Oh my God!
Oh man! SLT trying to trade back. That's Needlework coming through. Snip, snip, snip. Dash forward. Slash.
So he's overcommitting here. He has the scissors. He does something like this. And he just goes for the dash. He gets the ult. Fires it across Odoamne. And Odoamne used all his bursts. And SLT still has the scissors, so he's still cutting him.
Nuclear Int onto the backside and Calling buying as much time as possible. Reckless is already dead. Nuclear Int is now running wild. Yanko's running for the hills. Rumble is strong. But once they get on top of him, there's going to be nothing for Yankos to do. Trying to turn, trying to burn, but they both go golden, and Nuclear Int's going to walk out of this one. Cap looking for the reset. If he kills him quickly, maybe he can get it done, but there's just too much CC. They shut him down. They polymorphed him. He's just a little kitty cat. He can't get anything done. Trying to run for his life. Lulu can't save him on this one. Heal coming out, but we're trying to make it a safety. Bear stance might just be enough. Now they're now leaping in, but Humanoid's going to finish the kill. Upset has no room to maneuver in this one. The cleanse comes out, but it looks like it might be too little too late. That's the stun. Elyoyo's going to grab that one. Hylissang is in trouble. That is the double kill for Elyoyo. Perfect stopwatch from Kaiser to make it out to safety.